another referendum. And I think that's a significant step, but one that doesn't, in my view, mean that we have to stop campaigning and we have to continue that. Liverpool, as most of you in this room know, and I've spoken at many events, is really grateful for the European Union, for the support that it's given us here in the city over many decades, and indeed the renaissance that's taken place today can be traced back to European Union funding in ERDF and also in ESF, that's European Development Fund support, and European Social Fund support. And when there was a lot of talk about not supporting cities but allowing managed decline, Liverpool was very, very reliant on those European funds. But even today, if you look at what is happening in our city, you can still link that to European Union support, whether that's the arena and convention centre, the exhibition centre, most of the regeneration projects in the city are all linked in some way to European development funding. So we are grateful, and over probably the last 30 years there's been over £1 billion worth of regeneration funding spent in the city of Liverpool. And indeed that was something that we all need to, in my view, remember and understand exactly what the concept of Europe was about. It was supposed to be to support economically, but in other ways as well, other countries, enabling them to radically transform their economies and grow as countries to actually be able to sustain themselves. That's exactly what the concept of supporting European collective was all about, and I passionately believe in that system and believe that's the right thing to do. But I look at where we are as a country and what has just happened to us over the last 10 years, because I fundamentally believe that the people of this city, those that voted to leave Europe, and that was the minority, because it was 58% that voted to remain in Liverpool, and elsewhere as well where they voted to leave, they did so because they were misinformed or ignorant of the benefits of Europe, but also were quick to blame the problems that they had in their cities and towns across the country, and to blame the problems on Europe. And it had nothing to do with Europe. The policies of this country in terms of providing equality of opportunity and growth, economic growth across the whole UK, was the real problem and the real fault why there was no housing, lack of jobs and lack of investment, in particularly, in my view, in those areas that voted to leave. And we can't blame Europe for that. That's a lack of foresight, a lack of vision, a lack of policy and strategy on national government here that, in my view, created that divide across the country. And so I guess that we have an opportunity to set and put the record right around the issues that those people have believed in. And somebody talked before about ignorance of people and whether MEPs had a role to play in getting the message across. Then somebody else talked about democracy. The very fact that we haven't been able to talk to people or get that message across about the benefits of being part of the European Union is what I believe created this division. And you can see that. You can see what were traditionally areas, for instance, that were part of or wanted to be or part of the Europe, if you like, sort of machine, but also believing in what Europe was about, suddenly changed and suddenly started to blame Europe for all of the ills. And we see that as well with the rise of the right in Europe, the right wing, that it's about blaming other people for the failure of governments that are, in my view, across the country, still failing the people that they serve. And then I also argue about, in my view as a grandad, the reason why I support the European Union is because I also believe, we talked about Germany, we talked about the issues of not that long ago, the Second World War. I believe that Europe has played a real important part in keeping the peace in Europe. And it's as a grandad and somebody that worries about the future, that I passionately believe that working together across Europe is the best way to keep peace and the best way to solve the problems that face us, whether they're environmental problems, economic problems, or protecting people and keeping the peace. And for me, as I said, I can't stand by and allow that to happen without putting up a fight. And that's why I don't accept the referendum result, and I'll keep fighting for people to actually have another vote, so that people can actually have another say in what is clearly the biggest mistake that this country, in my view, in my lifetime, has ever made. I just come from a meeting about an hour ago where I spoke to businesses from Liverpool and across the city region, and they were asking me questions around the prosperity fund that central government is supposed to put in place to support cities like Liverpool, Birmingham, Manchester, Leeds, Sheffield. They were asking me questions about what is going to happen with that, how much is it going to be, how is it going to be shared out, who's going to be in control of it, what's going to happen, and how we're going to be using that money for specific sectors or industries. And you know what? No one's got a clue. Next Thursday I'm invited with the Northern Powerhouse Minister to go and talk with mayors and other leaders across the country to see what we can do post-Brexit. We're days away, weeks away from exiting the European Union, and they want to talk about what it is we can do. That shows the mess that we are going to be entering into, and I couldn't give those businesses any proper responses or answers, because I liken it to the famous Donald Rumsfeld quote about the knowns and the unknowns and the unknown unknowns, because we just simply don't know. What I do know, and what I am absolutely convinced of, is that for our economy here in Liverpool and in the UK, it will be total disaster for decades if we Brexit without a deal. It will be absolutely catastrophic. I believe that it will take us decades to actually get through what will be economic turmoil. And you know yourself, and you read the papers, you see the commentators, you watch the news, and it's ironic, isn't it, that we have had people ridiculing the very fact that people pointed out 2 years ago about the consequences of leaving Europe without a deal, and we were told, don't worry about that, we'll sort what be done within weeks, be done within a matter of months, don't worry about it, it's dead simple. And even if that's the case, we'll end up going on to WTO rules and everything will be fine anyway, because the UK is Royal Britannia and we'll manage and we'll get on with it, because that's the Dunkirk spirit and that's what we always do. There's goods on the way to this country that nobody in business that's ordered them knows what tariffs they're going to pay. There's goods in this country that's been ordered that people don't even know whether they're going to get it on time, because it's going to go through southern ports. That's the reality of what we face. And never in my lifetime have I seen an institution that is this government or any government, and I include when I say the government both sides, by the way. I've never ever known people to be so disorganised, so ignorant of the problems that we face, and so disconnected from the realities of the real world. That's frightening. It is absolutely frightening. So, my message has always been that I will continue to fight and continue to argue that we are better in Europe. We are better financially, economically, environmentally, for workers' rights, for all of the things that we all value and stand for. And we mustn't give up the fight. We must not give up the fight. And to those that say it's democracy, we've had a referendum. Well, I likened it about 5 months ago. Many people have picked up on it. If you want to cancel your insurance, you get asked twice. Are you sure before you push this button you want to cancel it? Or if you buy a house, it's subject to a survey, so you know what you're getting. And now we know what we're getting. Now we absolutely know what we're getting, because we do. We should be given the opportunity to have another say. And the fact of the matter is I promised to do, because of my grandchildren. I'll keep fighting for this city, for my grandchildren, to make sure that we remain part of Europe, because I'm a pragmatist. I'm somebody that believes in reality. I'm somebody that's witnessed deprivation in this city. I'm somebody that's witnessed how our city has overcome that, working with Europe. We are a cosmopolitan European city, Liverpool. Always has been, always will be. And that's why Liverpool will continue to fight to remain part of Europe. And that's why I know when I walk around the streets, most people that want to talk about this issue praise what we're doing as an administration, as a council, defending our right to have another vote, to have another say about staying in the European Union. So I thank you for being here. Thank you for keep fighting and being part of the campaign for Europe. And I believe we'll win through in the end.